Welcome back. Well, if you didn't know your dog or cat could develop diabetes, don't worry, you're not alone. November is National Pet Diabetes Month, and here to talk more about it is Adam Foret. He's from University Veterinarian Hospital to tell us a little bit about diabetes, and actually, it's a little different between cats and dogs, you were telling me.
Absolutely. So diabetes is something that it affects pets. It does. We see it every day, and there are signs that they're not huge signs on the front end of this condition, but if you can detect them early, there's a lot that you can do about it.
Okay, and so let's talk about those signs and symptoms that you should be looking out for.
Yep, so both cats and dogs display similar but slightly different. So one is increased thirst, so they're drinking a lot of water, and because they're drinking a lot of water, they end up urinating a lot. So in the litter box, you get bigger clumps of litter, essentially. Dogs want to go outside all the time to go to the bathroom. The other thing that's happening is that they're not using the calories that they're taking effectively. So they end up eating a lot, but they're either keeping at the same weight or they're actually losing weight, although they're eating a lot. And those are really signs that you need to say, hey, I need to go to my veterinarian and get this checked out.
And before we get into treatment options for this, which animals are more susceptible to having diabetes?
Yep. So it's going to be middle-aged to older animals, okay, although we see it in young animals. And diabetes is a condition to where they're not using their insulin, or they're not producing insulin effectively. And so insulin's made by the pancreas, and it's part of getting that sugar that goes into the bloodstream and getting it into the cells. And what we see a lot of times in dogs is type 1 diabetes, and type 1 diabetes is where the insulin's not being made by the pancreas, and so therefore we have to supplement insulin to get that sugar into the cells so that it's not outside the cells, because the cells are starving, and that's why they lose weight, is that they're not getting the energy that they need. A lot of cats, interestingly enough, are type 2 diabetes, to where they're producing insulin but just not enough, and there can be a couple different forms of that. But the interesting things about cats is that if we can identify diabetes early in cats, there's about 30% of cats that actually go into remission. So if you can identify these signs quickly and get to your vet and get it diagnosed and get on the proper insulin treatment, and typically the treatment that we're talking about is a little shot, and it's a small needle, and it doesn't really bother them too much.
Good.
And diet, and the appropriate diet, that 1 out of every 3 cats goes into remission to where they're able to come off of insulin. And that's a pretty big number. So that's something that if you're seeing your cat is drinking more, or is urinating inappropriately, or losing weight, get them checked out, because if you can get it identified early, it's a game changer.
So definitely some signs to look out for, and it's fairly similar to what we see in humans as in treatment options. So some very good information this morning. Adam, it was good to see you.
My pleasure.